Let's move on to another really thorny and difficult geopolitical topic, shall we? Ukraine and NATO. Of course, the war drags on in Ukraine and everyone wants to see the end of it. But whenever any brings up the idea of any kind of peace being brokered on the idea of Ukraine sort of losing some of its land to Russia, it's a very sensitive issue. One that I don't agree with personally, but Stian Jensen, Chief of Staff to the Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg, so this is all to do with NATO, of course, he said in a meeting a few days ago, he suggested about this idea of surrendering territory, and then he's been lambasted for that, for even bringing it up. Ukrainians have reacted angrily to that, and they've since sort of walked back on their comments, because that is pretty major, isn't it, coming from somebody within NATO?
Well, it's major not only because of the suggestion, what it would mean to Ukraine, but it's been suggested before. And the backlash that, the various different people who have raised it before. Why are we even going there anymore? President Zelensky has made it very clear. It is not up for discussion, the suggestion that they could relinquish any of their territory. And why should they? And it's setting a very dangerous precedent, as far as I'm concerned, for NATO to even be suggesting that that's a possibility.
Let's listen to President Zelensky saying this to Piers Morgan.
Will you ever contemplate doing any kind of deal which involves Ukraine giving up territory to Russia?
We are not prepared to exchange or trade the territory of the independent state of Ukraine. We have no right for this. First of all, we are the government because this land belongs to Ukrainian people.
I mean, Isabel, we can understand how Ukrainians feel about it, certainly.
Absolutely. And I think to put the remarks in context, and that's not to say they were the right thing to say, he was outlining a number of scenarios at a think tank event. This wasn't some kind of pronouncement of NATO policy at the highest level. He was saying, here are some scenarios under which this dreadful war might somehow come to the end. But it's not going to happen. It's just, as you said, President Zelensky has made that very clear. In reality, this war has gone on for a lot longer, really, than people perhaps widely realise. And I was out in Ukraine in about 2018 at the front line of what was already a war then, but a long war of attrition. And my concern is that this just goes on almost indefinitely, with both sides refusing to surrender effectively. And so I guess the interesting part of this is, how does this come to an end? It's not going to end by the ceding of substantial amount of territory.